Welcome to the podcast, Living by Oak Values. My name is Robert, and I host this podcast with my friend Gary. Join us today as we dive deep and share meaningful stories, discuss our values that help shape our lives. We will explore how we use these values to guide us through life, shaping our decisions, our relationships, and raising our kids. We are embracing a journey of personal growth, navigating our own path, and committed to living by these values and passing them on to our children. We are thrilled to have you here today and can't wait to share our latest episode. Whether you're a longtime listener or just now discovering us, welcome. Check us out at northmancoaching.com. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the comments. You're welcome to join our community, Northman Legacy Crew, and let us know what topics you're most interested in hearing about. Sign up with your emails for behind-the-scenes sneak peeks and exciting updates. We hope you enjoy today's episode. Happy listening.
All right, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about two different values again, caring and compassion. Now, caring and compassion are closely related, but they have distinct differences. Caring refers to the concern and consideration for the well-being of others. It involves being attentive, supportive, and showing empathy towards someone's needs and feelings. Caring often involves taking action to help provide assistance.
And on the other hand, compassion goes beyond caring and involves a deeper understanding of someone's suffering or distress. It is the ability to empathize with the others, feeling genuine concern for their well-being. Compassion involves not only recognizing somebody's pain, but also having a strong desire to alleviate it. It's about showing kindness, understanding, and offering support to those in need.
So, Rob, do you have any stories that you can relate in your life to compassion?
Really, the only story I have is compassion for my ex. I don't understand why, the whole reason why, but I do understand that she was hurting. And I have compassion. I had to learn how to have compassion for her because back in the day, I would not have had compassion. I would have been angry and upset and threw a pitchy fit. But I do now have compassion for the situation at the same time.
Okay. So I can tell you a story about compassion with the men's work that we do. And I'm going to show you how compassionate you are as well. How many men do we talk to that are going through the worst period of their lives? Almost all of them, right?
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But we have been there. We have been through the worst period, and we have risen from the ashes to where we are now. So every man that I help and that you help, we walk them through that fire. So we walk back through that painful spot, hand in hand with these men that are in trouble, to see to it that they know that they are not alone, that we are here with them, that we have the human connection a lot of people just don't show anymore.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I just now thought of is caring can be more about you versus compassion is almost always about somebody else.
Say that again?
Caring, you got to care for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Caring can be about somebody else or caring can be about yourself. But the compassion is almost always for somebody else. The value of compassion you have for other people. Can you have compassion for yourself?
Yes. I truly believe that I probably have more compassion for myself than I do others.
Or is it caring?
No, it's compassion. So compassion, the understanding of the suffering. So if you're suffering,
the capacity to feel sorrow for another suffering or misfortune. So it is for somebody else.
I guess so. Yeah, it says it's for someone else, but do you ever get mad at yourself and then you have to stop for a second and you have compassion for why you screwed up? I understand. You didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I understand. You're not feeling well today. This is all me talking to me.
To use compassion, you have to see yourself as a third person. Third person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
Or schizophrenic.
Yeah. Because I was sitting there going, yeah, technically I do have compassion for myself. But all the definitions we pulled for compassion, it says suffering emphasize with others, 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 others. And I was like, well, what about caring? I have to do a lot of caring for myself. I have to care for myself. So when you do compassion for yourself, you have to see yourself from the outside in.
Yeah. But even if you look at the definition of caring, it refers to the concern and consideration for the well-being of others.
Is it
I care about myself.
Yeah, I care for myself too.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
put some
that's kind of weird how it's others.
Caring often involves taking action to provide assistance.
Yeah.
And so if you're caring for yourself, the action that you're going to take to assist yourself is, a better diet or a better workout plan, or just a diet or a workout plan. Forget better, and just doing the right thing to ensure that you are healthy. So really, caring and compassion go both ways. It could be a personal thing, or it could be for others. And honestly, I feel like now that we're getting into this, they say that you can't truly love someone else unless you love yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost not impossible, but it's pretty difficult, I think, to genuinely care for somebody or show compassion for them if you can't care for yourself or show compassion for yourself. How can I show compassion for you if I can't even show myself compassion?
Well, it's also knowing how to be compassionate.
So how does one learn that?
How do you learn how to be compassionate?
I feel like it has to be another value that when doing this work triggers this stuff. Like the boldness and bravery is
I want to say you learn it by example. The reason I say that is because folklore and stories that you pass on to your kids about other people having the value of compassion or the value of caring teaches them how to care and how to have compassion.
Okay. So then who was your role model for caring and compassion? Because you in recent years, because you said a minute ago that you didn't have compassion for your wife, ex-wife,
right?
And now you do. So who showed you that? Don't say me.
Dennis. The coach
Dennis Collins.
Yeah.
How did he show you compassion, or how did he teach you compassion?
He showed me compassion because he empathized with me during my struggle.
Okay.
But also he taught me how to be compassionate to my ex. He educated me. Women do that because they're hurting, and the pain and suffering they're going through time and time again, they're reacting to pain. And that pain is why they step out and give up. And so learning that she's not doing it just because she's a horrible person, but she's doing it because she's been feeling loveless in the marriage for X amount of years. Understanding that now, I look back and have compassion on her for doing that. That's where he gave me the education to look back and say, wow, she was hurting and I didn't realize it. Now I have compassion on her. Is that the best way?
Yeah, so that was good. That was good.
That's how I was taught
compassion. So it almost seems now it's clicking all of a sudden. You can be taught this compassion and caring, but I feel like it's like the rest of the work that we do. You have got to be at one of your lowest points for someone to be able to teach you caring and compassion.
Not necessarily.
Or your loved one would have to be at their lowest point, and that would trigger you. No, maybe not. I don't know. But what are you going to say?
Well, if I was taught compassion at a younger age, or what compassion was, I might have understood compassion earlier, but the situation still would have been the same.
Why?
In my situation, having compassion or not was not the reason he decided to get divorced. I don't believe that's the reason. So if I would have had more compassion, it would not have made a big difference.
Right. I wonder if you had more compassion, though, would you have seen the hurting and figure out a way to heal or help her heal?
Maybe. Now, I don't know. Maybe if I had had more compassion in my entire life, I might would have been able to see that.
Okay. It's funny because this thing we were talking about earlier is the difficulties in caring is that you need to be vulnerable, and so does the person that you are caring about.
Yes.
And if you're in a marriage that has gone sour, whether it could be healed or not, I think there's a huge lack of vulnerability in a troubled marriage.
Hmm. Guys who are in a divorce, in a separation for a very long time, you have to have compassion for them because they struggle for many, many years to correct their marriage, and they may or may not can do it.
Right. Sure.
And you have to have compassion for them when they're putting all this effort in and they think they're turning it around, and then all of a sudden it goes sour on them. And they could have as much compassion as they wanted to, but sometimes that's not enough to fix it.
Yeah. So anyway, I got a great quote
All right.
about caring. So caring is a key that unlocks doors and opens eyes to the needs and struggles of others. And that was said by Cory Booker. I like that because if I truly care about you, it will open you up, and it will open our eyes up. It will open my eyes up to know what you need, and in the same, it will also open your eyes to what I need when we're struggling.
How caring were you before your divorce?
It depends on how you look at it.
Mm.
The difference between me now and me before my divorce is that before my divorce, I was a nice guy.
Mm.
So I had tons of compassion, and I cared for you, although it was fake. I didn't really care, but I pretended like I cared. And I didn't have compassion. I didn't know what compassion was, but I pretended because I wanted you or whoever to approve of me.
Yeah.
I wanted recognition. I wanted to be noticed. So, so before the marriage, I think if you asked somebody that knew me, they would say, yes, he cares about everybody. He's full of compassion. If you straight up asked me, no, I didn't care. I didn't care about anything. So yeah. So before my divorce, I did not care.
So you bring up a good point. There's almost a different type of caring and compassion that people compare you to.
Yes.
You're right. Beforehand, I would act like I care or act like I was compassionate all the time. And I wasn't. I was only caring and compassionate as a show,
Mm-hmm.
just to get attention, just to get somebody else's approval, or just to keep people off my back.
Yeah. So, but now, was it a show? Because if you didn't truly know how to care or be compassionate, maybe in your head you really thought you were caring or being compassionate.
You make a valid point because I thought I was doing it right to begin with.
Yes. None
And
of the
I was doing it just to get something in return, which is not what caring and compassion are kind of
exactly.
truly about.
Yep.
Learning what compassion is, where it's like, this is not what I thought it was. Caring, caring is a little difficult. I think I had the greatest problem with compassion, having
Okay.
compassion with other people, because I was so used to getting approval that I was showing compassion.
Yeah, I get that. I can totally see that. And it's funny actually because, all right, so who we are now, I've done it before, but I'm 99% sure you have. We can walk into a crowd of people, and now we can spot the fake compassion and the fake caring. We can spot a nice guy from a mile away, and it's funny but sad at the same time.
It's also hard to realize that people are only caring about you to check the box. And I'll get a phone call from my mom, and it'd be like, "Oh, how are you doing?" It's like, "Well, what do you want from me?" kind of deal. You're not asking me how I'm doing because you're caring. You're asking me how I'm doing because you want something from me. And I used to be that way.
Checking the box. Yeah. I have another quote.
All right.
This is from the Dalai Lama, and he says, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive."
That
I,
make
I I agree. It's kind of like what's going on in the world right now
yeah.
with everybody. Well, I say the world, but this country, but I feel like that that we're starting to not survive because there's not a lot of compassion and not a lot of love, which we shall just love everybody. Let's do it.
Love and compassion. We talked earlier about compassion is actually very difficult because it might invoke negative emotions inside of you. And you might have to learn to understand and forgive somebody who wronged you. And that is hard.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of guys, don't hold on to resentment because it is like a sand pit. It will swallow you whole. And a lot of guys, especially when they first get in, they are so resentful of their wives.
Sure.
And I was too. But it took me to realize that if I didn't have compassion, that she was hurting, that she did it because I didn't know how to care properly, or I didn't know how to be the proper whatever, or we just didn't mesh together that well. If I didn't have that compassion, I wouldn't be here today. It is very hard to show understanding for somebody that did you wrong. And you almost just have to say, I forgive you, and never expect them to say thank you or anything.
This episode is brought to you by Northman Coaching and their Oak Value cards. Are you looking for a little boost in motivation and self-improvement? If so, then check out our Oak Value cards and empower yourself with our motivational and insightful core value cards. Enter promo code CARING or COMPASSION for 20% off your order.
All right, Gary, as you learn how to be more caring and compassionate, what is one thing that you can tell somebody today that would help them start down this road of learning how to be caring and compassionate?
I do it every day, but I just to whoever you're speaking with, help them understand the situation they're in, help them, feel the pain that the other person in their life is feeling.
Mine would be to make sure that you have healthy boundaries, because you don't want to be always compassionate to somebody who just constantly wants to tell you about everything that's wrong in their life. So you have to have a little bit of a boundary that you can sit there and say, yep, I've listened to you a lot today. I'll get back with you again tomorrow. You can be compassionate, but you also need, like we talked about, be compassionate to yourself. You need some downtime, recharge and refresh, because you can't be compassionate to everybody all the time.
I totally agree with you, Rob, on you need to have the boundaries, but that's not the first step. If I'm meeting you today for the first time and you're having all these troubles at home, by telling you or suggesting that you set boundaries in your life, that could lead you to learning some compassion somehow. I'm not sure how, down the road maybe, but I feel like you have to learn how to be compassionate, learn how to care, and as you act upon what you're learning, then you'll see who's keep coming back for more, who's needy or whatever. Then it's time to put the boundaries up.
If you would like to go deeper or further on the topic of compassion and caring, reach out to us. We want to know you and hear your powerful story. Chat, connect with us by booking your free session on our website, northmancoaching.com. And folks, that's a wrap on today's episode. And of course, thank you all out there for listening. We're so glad you could join us today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, Living by Oak Values. And if you feel generous, leave us a review. It really helps us and keep these conversations going. For more updates and exclusive content, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and visit our website, northmancoaching.com. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode that you don't want to miss. Until then, keep discussing your values, embracing the journey, take care, and stay